My name is Debbie Reynolds. They call me the Data Diva. Today I want to talk about data privacy and Apple's Private Relay. So in iOS 15, Apple released this feature called the iCloud Plus Private Relay. It is a service, so anyone who has an Apple device can subscribe to the service and they get this private relay feature. So basically what Private Relay does is if you have an Apple device and you use the Safari browser, it can in some ways kind of anonymize the individual so that you can do searches using the Safari browser without showing your identity, like who you are, and also not having websites be able to snoop on you about what you're web browsing and stuff like that. So the way that Private Relay works is that it's basically a two-part relay of the information to the internet. So the one part is if you use Private Relay, your IP address is visible to your internet service provider, and then also Apple. But then Apple encrypts the DNS record, so anything that you type into kind of the search engine isn't visible to Apple or to the internet service provider. And then Apple flips that request over to a third party that actually decrypts the actual website that you want to go to, and it delivers that information within the search engine. So the second relay is where the content provider generates also a temporary IP address. So the temporary IP address helps you connect to the website. As I said, it decrypts the name of the website requested and connects to that website. So all this is done using kind of the latest internet standards to maintain high performance in browsing, and also kind of this secrecy in a way in terms of how people are using this particular service. So an interesting thing came up, and I'm very interested to see how this turns out. The UK Competition and Markets Authority received a case. There is a group of an organization called Mobile UK. So there are some big names within this group, including I think Virgin Mobile, Vodafone. They are suing Apple because they think that Private Relay is actually a veiled attempt at trying to stifle competition, meaning taking away data from these mobile service providers that would have otherwise gone to them, and they can't create products. So and then Apple has their own services, so they're competing against them. So and then I think they also said it's bad for users, because if the website is made in such a way that it forces people to give up information, they may not operate the same way. So they're saying that it has a negative impact on the user experience. It has a negative impact on internet safety, because they feel like if people are doing nefarious things, then they can do so in secret. And then also competition, because they feel like Apple is cutting them out from being able to create new products and services. So this is going to be interesting. I think this is one of the cases I was really waiting for, because it's like a fight between antitrust and competition law and privacy. So they're saying because Apple is doing this privacy push, it really is kind of an anti-competitive thing to rob these other companies of data. Where I'm sure Apple will say, them as the owner of the OS are doing things that are voluntary for the user, right? Because it's opt-in. Another thing that this case, what they're trying to do is that they don't want to see Apple make this a standard feature. Currently, this feature is kind of a service that someone has to pay for. They don't want it to become like a blanket fee feature for all Apple users, because marketers know that Apple users are very valuable in terms of marketing, and they're really concerned about this. So I think this case is going to go on for a little while. I'm excited to see what happens. I don't think it's 100% naturally a slam dunk for Apple here, because there are some issues that they brought up that may stick. You never know. But I think the fact that this happened in the UK right now is very intriguing, because now the UK, they have Brexit and they have their own data privacy laws, and they probably want to establish themselves as a competition authority outside of the EU. So this is going to be an interesting case. It remains to be seen what's going to happen, but I hope to see more transparency in this process in terms of how Mobile UK is thinking about this case, and what are their evidence in a way about how they feel like this is anti-competitive and somehow harms individuals. That's it. Thank you.